What is up, Cora? Thank you for clicking through to listen to the audio companion to What Will Always Be Cool. What will always be cool? So back in 2013, I lived in France. I've actually lived in France a couple of different times, one in 2008, one in 2013. But the time in 2013, this I will never forget this. I was living in the east side of Paris in the 12th arrondissement, right next to Michel Bizot. And if anybody knows it, it was on Rue de... Oh, man. Now I feel like an idiot. Rue de... Rotterdam, I think. Something like that. Anyway, I was living on the street, and I wasn't living on the street. I was living in an apartment on that street. Rothenburg, I think. Rue de Rothenburg. Anyway, I would walk out of my apartment and walk down toward the Michel Bizot metro, and every time I would walk down there, I would pass this little alleyway. There was this place called Le Coulee Vert, which was around that area, and it was like a park that used to be an old railway. It's like the High Line in New York, if you're familiar with this. And they turned it into like a pathway, and you could ride your bike, or you could run, or you could do whatever. And it would go basically into the heart of Paris. And I would walk by this area where there's like, some like an arch, and there was like some some like kids who would always hang out in this area. And one day I passed these two girls, these two 14-year-old French girls who were both smoking, and one was sitting on top of this trash can. And I walked by, and they looked at me and just could not give less of a shit about who I was or what I was doing. I looked at them, and they looked back at me, and in the moment I saw in their eyes, they were like, yeah, we're smoking. Yeah, we don't care. Yeah, we know that you see us smoking, and we don't care that you see us, and we don't care about you wondering how we're doing, and we don't care about us not caring. It was just the deepest, and they were in that moment, they were the two coolest people I think I ever met. They were so cool. They could not have been. They were sitting next to a bunch of graffiti. They were sitting on top of a trash can. Like, did not give a shit. And this is really true of all French teenagers, that every time I've ever been back to France, if you go by like their high school, like you walk by a lycée or something like this, they're all hanging out across the street in between classes or at lunch or something, and they're all smoking, and teachers don't care, and parents don't care, and like it's just a European thing. They can walk into a tabac and buy a bunch of cigarettes and just go, life is shit, it don't matter, nothing I do, it's not important, life is not how long you live, it's not how many things you own, it's just whatever. Life is only about three things: that's smoking good cigarette, drinking wine, and making fuck. That's it. They only care about sex, wine, and cigarettes. If the country of France had wrote a memoir, that would be the title of the memoir. Wine, sex, and cigarettes. It's really... were really the coolest. They're all wearing leather jackets. They all have on scarves. They all roll their eyes so hard. I mean, like, and here's the thing. They don't care that you are concerned. They don't care. Like, in America, smoking cigarettes, not cool. Especially in, in Silicon Valley or, like, the West Coast. Nobody, oh man, cigarette smoking, really bad. We all have this idea that you're supposed to live the longest and be the healthiest and all this stuff. In France, doesn't matter. That's not the goal. The goal is not to do those things. And the French children know it. They don't care that I remember seeing an American couple walking through Place de la Concorde. We're walking by some French people in the Jardin Tuileries who was right there. They were all smoking, the French people, and looking over Place de la Concorde. And when the American couple walked by them, the French just were fuming, lots of smoking. And the American couple was like, oh my gosh, I was smoking. I'm like, with cigarettes. And then they're like rolling their eyes and looking at them. And the French just actively didn't care. And that is so cool. That is so cool. That is the essence of cool. The essence of cool is this nonchalant, I don't give a shit about whatever. I'm doing this thing. It's in the cut. I don't care. You don't affect me. I'm just going to do my thing over here and be in my own universe. And that is so cool. If they repeated that same thing in the United States, the key is that it's French. Because if they repeated that same thing in the United States as Americans, the whole thing would break. Because there's nothing nonchalant about being an American smoking. You have anxiety, you're trying to get the cigarette out. You probably cracked open a Rip It in the morning. You know what I mean? Maybe you're drinking a bunch of coffee, like you're slamming a Red Bull. All these things in America go together. In France, nah, none of those things. Maybe a tiny concentrated shot of espresso that you're downing, and then you're having a cigarette outside of the cafe, and then you're going to jump on the metro. Where you go to work? I don't know. Just jump on. I go on the metro. They take me to building. I do something. I come back. I smoke again. I don't give a fuck. Life is shit. This is the French way. They actively don't give a shit, guys. And the thing that I love about this article, such that I've posted it on Quora so far, is that a whole bunch of people are like, let's call them the moms of the world, are like, this is so bad. These French people, these French students, they must know better. Yada, yada, yada. Look, they do know better and they don't care. Okay? In a world that is actively destroying the environment with smog and pollution, do you think caring about your lungs is going to make a difference? Oh, this whole ship is going down, everybody. Thank you for listening. I will end this there. Hopefully that was fun for you guys. If you want to hear more stories about France, comment in this thing on SoundCloud. I will be happy to do it. Please sign up for the newsletter. I'll have more of these kinds of things, videos, etc., coming into your inbox. I really appreciate you taking the time, and anything I can do to help you guys get more out of this, stories, info, anything, please post. Happy to do it. Take care.